Greetings, dear community. I just invoked Goddess Saraswati before I clicked go live. So I wanted to record this live stream. Hopefully my sound is working well with my new sexy microphone. I wanted to record this live stream to chat with you about the alchemy of creativity and how anyone who walks creative path will be radically transformed. And sometimes this transformation will be uncomfortable or challenging or disruptive in a way, and how it is and actually a really good thing, because creativity will bring new level of aliveness into your life. So I titled this video, and I'm going to share it on YouTube, on Instagram, and anywhere else I feel guided to share. The title of this video is Why to Publish Books and Why to Create Anything at All. Because we have a very interesting times that we live right now. It has never been easier to create. And I feel like I've been waiting for this lifetime for so long. I wanted to have this freedom to create, to turn my ideas into matter. And I really see that opportunity, an amazing opportunity to be alive at this time. And at the same time, there is just so much information available. And sometimes you may be thinking, well, what can I add? Why would I even want to add anything to the ocean of information that's already available? So if you ever ask yourself that question, I find that every sincere creator will ask themselves that question. Just know that you're not alone. And I wanted to share with you just a few lessons on the path that I have learned being a creator for the last 10 years. And I just overcame one of the big creative mountains. And I finally published my book. So not only one, actually 2 books. And I wanted to share with you the discoveries of what I've learned through this process, because I think there are some universal lessons on creativity. And I deeply believe that we are all creative people. I don't believe that creativity is only the realm of actually making art. I believe creativity is when we take our life experience, our ideas, our passion, and we find a way to turn that into a service or a product or anything useful that will bring more beauty to the world, that will bring more wisdom to the world, right? That bring more inspiration. Because sometimes I forget that a lot of times the mainstream idea of what creativity is, it's only if you create art, right? Or if you make music or if you write poetry. But creativity is life. Life is creative. So if you are alive, you are a creative being. And I find that when we begin to express our creativity, we begin to feel a profound joy. We begin to feel a profound sense of meaning, a profound sense of satisfaction. And when we're not connected to our creativity, actually our life feels like it lacks something deep, right? Something profound. So I wanted to share with you what I've learned on this path. I'm just getting more comfortable with closer to the microphone. I wanted to share with you what I've learned on this path of creativity, because I began first. My dance with creativity is just sharing my ideas and sharing my ideas in a way that came the most naturally and effortlessly for me, which was just speaking about my passion, speaking about my ideas. And then I began teaching. I began inviting people to learn together with me. And so for the last, almost a decade, I've mostly created online products and online courses and online experiences. Then I ventured out to creating events for people, and that's also a form of creativity. But it was a whole other mountain to climb to actually create a physical product. And for me, it brought up a lot of insecurities and a lot of fears. Something about publishing your idea, something about creating a physical product felt really scary. Maybe it's because I can't retrieve it and I can't like correct something. But it brought up a lot of insecurities and a lot of fears. And I just felt that I kept procrastinating and I kept postponing release of my book. And then the more I contemplated on that, the more I began to realize I have an opportunity to go through a powerful alchemy and a powerful transformation, because true creativity will transform you. Absolutely will transform you. And I believe this is why we sometimes fear to engage with creative process all the way, right? So there is usually two types of people. There is people who love to start things, they're igniters. And it's really easy for them to start things, but they have a really difficult time to finish. So they're swimming in a ton of unfinished projects. Raise your hand if you relate to that. And then there is another group that is terrified to start, and they are swimming in ideas, but they're really afraid to actually start the journey. So they're waiting to feel ready. They're waiting for more time. They're waiting for more resources, right? So, whichever camp you belong, or you may switch it, right? You may be like more naturally, um, so it just depends. But I have found working and mentoring and coaching people, usually these two groups of people: easy starters, difficulty to finish, people who have more strong ability to finish, but having a very difficult time to start. Both groups waste time. Both groups are terrified to fully engage with creativity, right? So I'm here to be an ambassador for creativity, a spokesperson for a creative process, because it truly brings a lot of beauty and meaning to our life. Okay, whoever is here with me, can you let me know do you hear my sound? Hi, loves. Will you let me know in the comments if you can hear my sound? As I wanted to share with you some awesome ideas about creative process and how you don't need to be afraid of it. Sounds great. Hey, Megan. Yes. So I'm so glad that microphone works. So when it comes to creativity, we are all creative, and creativity is a process. So we unlock our creative genius through the process of engaging with the practice. So I look at creativity as practice. Just how yoga is a practice, a breath work is a practice, creativity is a practice. And the more we show up to the practice, the more we discover how our practice begins to change our life, right? I recently embraced my breathwork practice, and my meditation practice for the last year has been the strongest practice of my life. And what I love about embracing a particular practice, the transformation that you receive from a practice looks gradual in the beginning. You have these hidden inner changes that take place. Or maybe when you just start working out, right? When you take charge of your health and of your body and you say, I'm going to train, I'm going to make my body strong, you're not going to see results right away, right? You got to cultivate patience and to show up to your training, to show up to your training, to show up to your training. But then gradually over time, you begin to feel better. You begin to see changes in your physical form. You begin to see the fruits of your practice. I see creativity is like that. And what is so terrifying for a lot of us when we engage with creativity is this fear that we're not going to be great right away, that we're not going to see the full, beauty of our creativity that we know we're capable of, or we dream that we're capable of. And it's embracing the gift of the first version, of the first draft. Every time you publish a book, you got to be okay with the first version. And trust me, this is not an easy mountain to go over. I remember creating my very first course, right? Comparing to what I create now. That creation was so precious to me, right? It was just like so precious. It's just handmade slides. I've made my slides. I organized my ideas to the best of my ability. It was so scary to step into the moment, to turn on that Zoom and to say, welcome to my first group of students of 3, right? It was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. But you know what? The moment you step into the process, what is required in the creativity when you step into the process is you gotta completely let go of control. And when you completely let go of control, you discover a new sense of aliveness. You discover a new sense of life energy just running through your body, running through your mind, running through your voice, running through your senses. And you feel alive like you haven't felt before. And letting go of the control doesn't feel so bad anymore. You feel liberated. You feel like something began to unlock in you. This is the alchemy of creativity. This is the alchemy of letting go of control. This is the alchemy of actually seeing your creative process through. Right? So why to publish books? Why to create anything? Like, why does it matter? We have millions of books are published every year. Millions of courses are being offered every year. What's the point of offering your story? What's the point of offering your creation? If you never ask yourself that question, I don't believe you. Because this is a very objective question to ask. I'm going to offer my perspective. Maybe it will inspire and uplift some of you who are standing on a threshold of creating something that is meaningful to your heart. And maybe you've been stuck in your creative process. Maybe you've been afraid to release it. Maybe you've been afraid to start. You know why to create? Because of the meaning that your creations will offer to your heart. The number one need for human beings is to know that our life has meaning, that our story matters, that everything that we went through in the past and in the present actually were a part of a bigger story, that our voice matters, that our message matters. So it's for the meaning. Creativity and creative expression gives our life a much deeper meaning. And when we have a higher meaning in our lives, we have a reason to become more courageous. We have a reason to become more expressive. We have a reason to get up in the morning and to continue to work on our craft. That's what I see. I don't think there is a more challenging experience than finding yourself in life, having everything you thought you ever wanted, and feeling that life has no meaning. I went through that experience myself, where I was not connected to a bigger meaning of my life, and I had everything I thought I wanted. I moved to the country. That was always a dream to be here. I found a way to make really good money. I was healthy. I was working on my body. I was young, right? The world was my oyster. But there was no higher meaning, so none of that mattered. None of that felt like really mattered. Every single human being needs to be connected to a higher meaning. Without that, life is meaningless. So I have discovered that creativity provides a direct connection to a bigger meaning. So when you decide to tell your story, when you decide to publish your book of poems or your novel, or where you decide to write the children's book that you always wanted to write, where you decide to create a course, put together an event, anything that comes as an expression of your heart, and you're being guided by a deeper meaning that journey is offering you, that's when you dance with creativity. That's where you dance with the alchemy of creativity. That's where you're willing to show up for the practice. That's where you're willing to endure criticism that will come. For so long, I was terrified of criticism. It was so hard for me to receive. Being a highly sensitive being, for my fellow people with high sensitive nervous system, it's a nervous system thing, right? It's not just energetic sensitivity, it's a nervous system makeup. So when you have that structure, energetic nervous structure, in the very beginning, when you encounter criticism, you can't help but take it personally. You can't help but absorb it so deep that for you to engage with your creative process again after you receive criticism is a heroic act. It's an absolutely heroic act. So if you are afraid of criticism, I just want you to know it's totally normal to have that fear, because it's not going to be comfortable to receive it. People who are going to criticize you, they don't know the amount of courage it took for you to offer your creative work into the world. It's much easier to criticize than actually engage in the creative process yourself. So I just want to take a moment and to validate that very human fear of criticism, of being misunderstood, of your work not being, approached in a way that you want it to be approached. And I'm also here to be a messenger that it gets easier. It gets easier and easier and easier. And you develop this incredible inner strength to cultivate neutrality. And this is also a sign of maturity in your creative process. Like a true neutrality, right? Where whether people praise you or they criticize you, usually it happens both. Somebody criticizes you or somebody praises you at the same time. Your self-worth and your relationship with yourself is rooted on a completely different foundation of true healthy self-esteem, because you know you engage in creative process for your own personal transformation, for your own joy, for your own higher meaning. And when you begin to approach creativity in that way, you are standing on a strong foundation, or you're standing on a much stronger foundation that is able to hold you, that is able to give you that strong grounding. So to all my to all the members of my community, especially to the people who I got the joy and the privilege to have as students in my classes, especially if you take any of my creative and entrepreneurial classes, you know how often I talk about the four stages of creative process, which are, to create anything, you got to go through these four stages. Stage one is to envision, right? To actually receive inspiration, catch it, receive it, commit yourself to it. Say, oh my gosh, I'm open to co-creating with you. You are an incredible vision. I want to co-create with you. I want to be in a relationship with you. That's stage one, envision. Then the second, create. Actually start engaging in steps. What are the steps that I needed to take this inspiration and turn it into a project that has phases, right? Then the stage number three, promote. So many creatives do not like this stage. They just want to be done with the receive inspiration and then create. And then they lose interest with the level three. But to promote is also a part of the creative duty, creative assignment. So embrace the beauty of promotion, the beauty of sharing your creations in the world. Become a tireless champion of your creativity. Nobody will do it for you. Nobody will do it for me. It's our sacred assignment. Right? So promote and become creative in how you share your work with the world. And the last stage is deliver. Actually ship it. Actually say, this first draft is good enough. This first version is good enough. I will continue to create. I will continue to refine, but I can offer this into the world as an expression of my heart. So I wanted to share with you the couple of book babies that I've recently released. And so the first one is How I Met Divine Mother. It's a very short book. I wanted to make sure everybody who buys this book feels victorious and to actually finish it. Did you know that 90% of books are never finished? 90% of books are never finished. So I wanted to write a short book that everybody who reads it will feel victorious to finish it. Right? So here it is. And what it is, my dear ones, I wrote this book in parts. When I was in Peru, you know how much I love Peru. And if you don't know, I will share with you right now. So when I first came to Peru, which is the land of nature mystics, it is the most unusual place. It has an ancient spirit and an ancient soul, and the most unique landscape, the most unique nature that is deeply feminine in essence. And the reason why that land is so unique and so healing is because the people who live on that land, they never broke the connection with the earth. It's called Pachamama. They never broke the connection with the ancestral wisdom of tending to the land, cultivating reverence for everything that grows there, right? they never broke that connection. The majority of people never broke the connection. Of course, some people moved to the cities and some people left their ancestral wisdom. That happens in every culture. But I would say, as a whole, the Andean region, why South America is so special to so many people who discover it, it's because it's the continent of the heart. It's the continent that has that beating flame of the heart, right? So when I was there, and I was leading a retreat, one of my first ones, on on the plant medicine journey, on Vachuma journey, which Vachuma is also known as San Pedro in the United States. It's this beautiful cactus, psychedelic cactus that has been revered in South America for over 3,000 years. So when I was in that ceremonial space, I have heard a soft voice that I recognized as Divine Mother. And the soft voice telepathically told me, out of so many books that you're going to write, write the one about me first. And I was so excited to receive that assignment, because to write about the sacred feminine, to write about how we can heal not only individually, but also collectively and as a planet by returning to the wisdom of the sacred feminine, the wisdom of the great goddess, right? What a great honor. And no matter how many fears I had about publishing what I write, because it's a channeled information, right? Having that higher meaning and a higher assignment gave me courage to actually do it and to finish the project and to finish a book and to say, this is complete. The first version is ready to be offered to the world. So the book was conceived in Peru, and then I came home, and what I was doing, I was actually writing letters to Divine Mother. And I found the most beautiful paper, one of those stationery papers. And I used my very best pen. And I would sit down and go into meditative space. And I would listen. And I would listen for a question that would arise in me. I would ask a question. And I would hear an answer telepathically. And I would write down what I heard. So the book is a collection of letters between me and Divine Mother. And it also, I went to another journey in Colorado to sit with a great plant medicine teacher, a great maestro, who doesn't really come to US as much, also from South America. And I was working with the plant medicine there. And when I was there, these chapters just began pouring in. And I began writing down the wisdom of the feminine, the lost wisdom of the feminine, of how to understand the power of death and rebirth, how to align our life with cycles, how to discover the joy of pleasure, how to trust our desires, right? So all this beautiful wisdom just poured through the opening that I've made in my heart for this book. So I wanted to share with you the process, how it came through. And then another book that I wanted to share with you today is the book that I co-authored with my friend and an elder, Michael Bright. And what I appreciate about Michael Bright, I know he will watch this replay sometime afterwards, is when I met him, he was already researching everything about Divine Feminine for the last 10 years or more, reading so many books and finding the research of archaeological evidence that some of the earliest ancient civilizations revered the feminine as the creatrix of all. So, having a direct relationship with the great goddess, with the sacred feminine, and then meeting somebody who brought, this huge rich research that I can connect to was really, really powerful. And what Michael Bright did so beautifully, he brought this book called Awakening to the Wisdom of the Great Mother. And this book is written for young people, people who are maybe 15, 16, 14, who feel anxious about the future of our planet, who feel burdened by the mess of the previous generation. And every generation often feels like that, right? Every generation inherits the planet in a worse state than before them. And they feel hopeless, they feel anxious about the future, they feel frustrated, they feel rebellious, and rightly so, right? And so many of them are eager to know where can they turn? Where is the truth? Where is the vision? Where is faith? Where is the sense of possibility? So this beautiful book invites younger people to connect to the most ancient form of spirituality of the earth. Spirituality, you would call it like neo-paganism, right? Um, and paganism is spirituality of the earth, where if you follow the paganism spirituality, you're being invited to see spirit everywhere, in the cactus, in the butterfly, in the cat, in the dog, right? Everything is animated with spirit. So the paganism also is rooted in a deep ritualistic path where you are in communication with the spirit world. You honor the great elements. You know how to work with the spirit of the wind. You know how to work with the spirit of the water. You know how to follow the changes of the moon, how to manifest with the moon power, right? This is all ancient spirituality of the earth. So when younger people who are looking for clarity and illumination and inspiration, this book is so beautiful because it offers an invitation for younger people to connect to this really, really ancient path, right, of paganism and druidery and this spirituality that is rooted in honoring the sacred feminine. So it's a story of a young girl of the age of 15. She is meeting a priestess, a divine feminine priestess, and she spends a whole day with the priestess. And she asks her all kind of questions about life and about God and about old religion, about life. And she's receiving amazing answers. So I recommend this book as well. It's a beautiful story. Michael Bright is an incredible writer, just an amazing writer. So this is a longer video that I didn't intend to make this long. It's half an hour. But one of the main points that I wanted to make, number one, we're all creative. Number two, when you engage with creative process, you will inevitably hear the voices of fear, of doubt, of not feeling like your creativity is good enough, does it matter, who else, like, why do you need to add your creation to the world where we're drowning in so much information? So I just want to validate those voices because everybody will hear them. And my perspective is it's worth to do this because it will connect you to a higher meaning for your life. When you begin to open up your creativity and share your gifts with the world, you do it for your own deep inner transformation, connecting to a higher meaning that begins to nourish your inner world, that begins to elevate everything in your life, that begins to give you, this kind of like a connection to your true North Star. So when you finish your creative project, when you decide to stop procrastinating and actually finish it, you're going to feel this incredible sense of celebration and a sense of meaningful contribution, that no matter how many people your creative work will reach, it's so meaningful. It's so beautiful. But the creative alchemy, the most important creative alchemy, is you liberate yourself from the voices of self-doubt, the voices of fear, the voices of not being enough. All of that noise begins to leave, and you're going to create more space to receive more inspiration, more aliveness, more meaning, right? That's how it works. At least that's how I see it. On this note, dear friends, I just wanted to share these ideas about creativity. For me, creativity is like breathing. I create every single day. Literally, every single day I create. And I don't think this is just my thing. I really believe every single human being is a creative being. We simply need a little bit of encouragement to trust our own creative gifts, and we need a little bit of a more self-belief, a little bit more, validation that one day you will develop a strong inner center, that you're not going to be knocked off by criticism or by unkind feedback, and it will come. The moment you put yourself in the public eye, you're exposed. You're exposed, and you can't avoid that. I've been in the online space for so long. I love the social media. I love the opportunity of online space. I love being on video. But I want you to know that there's always a duality, right? We live on the planet of duality. So you will be interacting with a variety of things directed at you, right? You'll receive encouragement, and you will meet most amazing people who will share your ideals and your aspiration and your vision, and who will just immediately get a sense of who you are and your essence. And you're gonna have a completely opposite experience of that. People projecting their stories and fantasies and dramas onto you, and talking about your behind your back, and projecting their judgment, and that's not gonna feel great, right? That's not gonna feel great. But you gotta understand that creative process involves both. And you can't just selectively choose only the good stuff. If you begin to see all of it, the totality of experience helps you grow and develop a very healthy sense of self that comes from within, that doesn't come from the applause you receive on the outside, right? Then you are standing on a strong foundation. Then you are in a healthy relationship with your creativity. Then you create something because it matters to your heart, because it's meaningful to you, right? I remember my ally, Yvonne de Lafleur. I'm going to also write a post about this. When I was just getting more and more courageous, just writing on social media, before I wrote a book, there were years of writing social media content and posts. And some of those posts just didn't come out the way that I would intend them to, right? I was developing my writing style. And some of those posts I wanted to delete and to retrieve and like never write about that topic again. But I just kept at it. I kept sharing my voice. I kept sharing my ideas. I kept finding new way of expressing something. And I kept sharing with my community that one day I'll write a book. And my ally, Yvonne de la Flor, who published at least 15 books, like, so this is an experienced writer who self-published over 15 books. She kept writing, and this is how her and I actually connected. She kept writing in the comments, write for one soul. Just write for one soul. Create your art for one soul. Don't think about hundreds of thousands. Write for one. And I took that as a beautiful seed of inspiration, because that's exactly what gave me strength and courage to unlock or to keep unlocking my creativity. To have that mindset of simply create for one soul. Whatever you're creating, poetry, art, clothes, one of my besties is making fitness outfits. That's creativity. My encouragement is try on this mindset. I'm going to publish for that one soul. I'm going to create for that one soul. I'm going to release my course for that one soul. I'm going to finish my event for that one soul, whatever that is. But when you adopt that mindset, then, you are creating, you're giving yourself a resilient way to look at that, a sustainable way to engage with your creativity so you don't quit, so you actually finish what you start. And I feel like that's the challenge for the majority of creatives, is often so many of us, we just don't finish what we start. And every unfinished project actually chips on your self-esteem. Every unfinished project, hello darlings, yes, every unfinished project like damages your self-esteem, like self-affirms, see, I'm what's the point of trying? I haven't finished that one. What's the point of trying? I haven't done that one. So when you begin to fall in love with embracing the finish line and say, you know what? This is more than good enough. This is imperfect, but it's so authentic. And I'm so excited to offer it to the world. This creation comes straight from my heart. So this is how I look at this book, my dear ones. I look at this book as this comes straight from my heart. And it's not big. You can finish it in one tea session. But every page comes straight from my heart. And it's more than enough to be offered as a gift for at least one soul to touch. This is the mindset that I bring to my creative process that gives me courage and strength to continue to create. And I hope what I shared was inspiring for you. I hope it will give you courage to return to your creations in whatever stage that they're in, the beginning stage, or they're still in idea phase, or if you're already like approaching the finish line and you need that extra motivation to say, I know I can do it, right? Create for that one soul who will be so deeply blessed by the generosity of your authentic creativity. Perfection is not required. Perfection is unrealistic on this plane. The beauty of the physical plane in the plane of duality is the beauty of imperfection. Actually, imperfection is the perfection, right? So create your art simply because it gives you a deeper sense of meaning for your life. And that is what I wanted to share. Yeah, Elitsa. Yeah, you're so welcome, dear ones. You're so welcome. Thank you so much for sharing this with me. I wanted to again to highlight these two books, and may this be an encouragement for you to share your art, to share your creation, because you bless the world when you do.